Hello everyone and welcome back to Monster Hunter Wilds. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most iconic weapons from Monster Hunter, the Sword and Shield. Now I know that a lot of players tend to dismiss this weapon as simply a beginner weapon, but let me tell you, there is a lot going on with the Sword and Shield, and while yes, I would recommend it for a newcomer that is picking up the game, because the weapon itself is very easy to pick up and use, there's a lot of tricks and advanced stuff that you can do with the Sword and Shield that makes it a weapon with a very high skill ceiling. It's a weapon that has follow-ups on top of follow-ups and a different option for every scenario, and so knowing what's the best combo to go for given each scenario so you don't miss out on any sort of damage, as well as how to take advantage of the newly added perfect block or the iframes on the backstep, are all things that separate a Sword and Shield newbie from a Sword and Shield master. And in this video I'm going to be showcasing the Sword and Shield in Monster Hunter Wilds, and I'll be honest, I believe that the Sword and Shield in this game is amazing. It's the best iteration of the weapon in my opinion, second only to the Sword and Shield of Generations Ultimate, and that is some very high praise, so it's time for us to go into the showcase. So here we are with the Sword and Shield, and let me show you a couple of the basic things. For starters, you can attack with, of course, your sword, but you can also attack with your shield by using the circle button or the right click, whereas with the sword it's only by doing the triangle attacks or left click. Now the cool thing about the Sword and Shield is that you can kind of mix these two attacks from both weapons, but you kind of ideally don't want to do that. You want to save your shield bash attacks for when the monster is down and you can attack it on the head, so that you can then build up KOs and stuns that way, and you can use these triangle attacks for just a little bit of quick damage, though it's not really going to be where a lot of your damage is going to come from. Now the Sword and Shield also has a ton of mobility on top of being a very quick weapon that allows you to sheath it very quickly, and you can even consume items while your weapon is unsheathed. So for example, if I wanted to consume this ration, all I need to do is press the block button and consume an item, and there you go. Simple as that. And as you can see right here, whenever you do these attacks, you could press the R2 button. Your shield comes off very quickly, so you can very easily just block any incoming damage, and you have a very safe weapon to play with. This weapon is also very mobile, given that it has plenty of ways to get close to the monster. So for example, if I press triangle and circle, you get the classic advancing slash, and if I press R2 and triangle, you even get this sliding swipe that is very good at closing the gap between yourself and the monster. And you also, because you have to hold the shield to press this, you're also safe at the startup of that animation because you have to press the shield button. So this is a very good move that I like to use to dodge out of the way of attacks. So for example, say the monster is that barrel over there, I will do it like this. So you're able to kind of cross the gap between here and you're already getting close to attack him here. Now another great thing that you can do with the shield is the backstab. So at any moment after any single Sword and Shield attack, you can press back and circle at the same time, and you can perform that backstab. If you do like this and hold it back all the way down, you're going to get that red flare, and you're going to go up, and from there you have three different options. You can go from the backstab into the falling bash with the shield to deal tons of KO damage. You can go from the backstab into the plunging thrust, dealing damage as you fall down, doing a lot of damage and being very good to mount monsters with. And you can also do it like this into the jumping slash, which is also a great move to mount monsters very quickly, although it's not going to deal as much damage. Now another way to initiate the backstab with the Sword and Shield is by simply blocking and then pressing backwards and circle. That is another very viable way for you to do this that doesn't require any input to go into it. All you need to do is press block, and there you go, straight into the backstab. Very good to learn. Now the Sword and Shield has a very cool addition that I absolutely love, which gives it even more mobility, is that if you press the triangle attacks whilst holding the analog stick in different directions, you get these chop or slashes attacks that allow you to essentially just move around the monster as you keep on dealing damage up until you find the right position, and then you can start doing your regular combos. And again, all you need to do to perform this is just mash triangle or left click as you keep on moving your character around. Now another new addition for the Sword and Shield are a couple of moves that are very cool. One is the focus strike, which I'll show you in a moment as I can't exactly show it here in the barrel, but the other one is this right here, the charge chop. And this move can be initiated after pretty much any move by simply holding triangle and circle at the same time, again provided that you have done a move before you do this. And this attack is very good because it hits multiple times, it's very good at creating wounds and deals a lot of damage. But the way that I'm doing it here is not very good because you can actually empower that move. What I mean by this is that if you perform this charge chop after certain actions, you're actually going to empower it. And the way in which you can empower this attack, and so far I've only found two different ways to empower this attack, and that is by performing the full shield bash combo with the circle attacks. So 1, 2, 3, into the charge shop. There you go, it starts glowing red and it deals additional damage, or by doing these circle attacks. So that is the lateral slash into the return stroke and then into the spinning right slash. So 1, 2, and 3, and then triangle circle, and there you go, it is empowered. These are the only two ways that I have found to empower this attack, so again, make sure that you always use this before you use the charged chop, because you're going to be missing out on a lot more damage if you simply use it any other way. Unless you find a different way to charge up the charged chop, that is. Now another very important way for you to deal damage with the sword and shield is of course the perfect rush. This move was introduced in Iceborne and it is by far one of the coolest attacks that the sword and shield has, where it is essentially a time minigame where you need to perfectly time each attack as you do it to increase the damage that you deal. The way that you get the perfect rush is after you do a backstep, you press triangle and circle before you get this advancing step. So let's do it again. Triangle and circle. And now you can press triangle whenever the sword glows. You can practice this timing as much as you want to make sure that you nail it. And all of these 3 hits will be empowered if you time it right. If you're playing on controller, your controller will glow at the right time, which makes it even easier to land the timing. And from there you get 3 follow-ups, which are again the same ones that you would get if you were to perform a shield bash. Like for example, you get the falling bash, as well as the jumping slash, like so. There is some additional tech to mastering the sword and shield, but here you get the gist of how the weapon works, and you can really see that there is a lot that you can do with this weapon. You can really start to bully monsters if you play this weapon right, because you have so many options and you have so much mobility, so you can actively wound monsters as much as you want while also being able to stun them, and you're also incredibly mobile on top of having a shield, which means that when it comes to survivability, the sword and shield is a top tier weapon. Now there's a couple of additional things that I didn't quite show it here against the barrel, so let's move on to an actual hunt so that I can show the sword and shield in action. So we're back here with the victim of our one-sided abusive relationship, the Chupacabra, and we're going to showcase the sword and shield in action along with some moves that I didn't quite get to show you before. So let's go ahead and get this started. Going into a shield bash combo, into the big powerful charge chop. There you go, I love that. Let's see if we can get some falling bashes here. Boom, I love that attack. Now it's not going to be quite as easy to land the Chupacabra's face because it is such a small monster, so I'm actually going to go into a perfect rush. Right there I got hit. You can actually cancel in the middle of the perfect rush whenever you want to. I just didn't think I would quite get hit. But there you go, that's our first mount, because you actually, the first hit of that attack that you perform after the backstab, it actually does mounting damage as you go up. So again, I really do believe that the sword and shield is one of the best mounting weapons in the game, if not outright the best one. I really do believe that it is better than the Sanglaive. But there you go, look at that mounting animation, pretty cool. Let's bash his head in, there you go, into the charge chop. Oh, there you go, you already get a wound. The charge, oh, look at that flinch that you get from hitting the shield in the face as he was attacking us. With your backstep, whenever you perform this, you get iframes, so that is very important. And another thing that I got to show you, I don't know how that hit me. Another thing that I showed you there was that I was able to actually use a focus strike in the air, because the sword and shield is one of only 3 weapons in the game that can use it in the air, though the other 2 being the Insectglaive and the greatsword as well. So you have access to the focus strikes on the wounds that are on the monster's back, which sometimes are a bit more difficult to land. And look at that, we're totally abusing this guy. Going to go into a perfect rush right here. I love this move, dude. Ever since it was introduced, I've used the sword and shield so much more often. Going to go into these shield bashes for the big stun. There you go. Perfect, just as I expected. Boom, like that. Then another shield bash. However, this time into the charge chop. I also like this move a lot. It's especially powerful whenever there is a wound, but it's also very good at applying wounds. So that is a very simple rotation that I've been using a lot with the sword and shield, just using shield bash into the charge chop. Oh, right there we get a second mount as well. See how easily you can get it with the sword and shield? This weapon really is like the best weapon at controlling a hunt in my opinion. It really feels like you can get the monster to do anything you want, really. Let's go ahead and pop that wound right there. Boom! Lots of damage. You'll love to see it. Now hopefully we don't get hit by the small monsters here. Focus the wound here, as we get another wound on the Chupacabra as well. and another one. And he's already running away, dude. Again, the Sword and Shield really feels powerful in this game. I just feel like the Sword and Shield is missing like a big finishing move or something like the oils from Generations Ultimate. Like a big, cool, powerful move that is really flashy. I feel like that is what the Sword and Shield is missing. Now, another thing that I didn't quite explain with the Focus Strike is that you have two different options while you grapple onto it. If you do the triangle attack, you do that attack right there, but if you do the circle, you get into an upswing bash that you can then follow up however you like. So that is very important to know. If there is another wound, I usually go for the triangle attack because it deals so much damage, but if you're trying to go for a KO, naturally you can go for the circle attack. And there you go, a very quick hunt against Characabra. Hopefully this was a good showcase for the Sword and Shield, as I do believe that it is one of the most practical weapons that allows you to handle the monster in whichever way you like. Again, don't be fooled by the Sword and Shield. While yes, it is a beginner friendly weapon, there is a lot of depth to it that you need to master to become good with the weapon, and it really rewards skillful play as you dance around the monster, applying wounds, KOing the monster, and just overall dealing a lot of damage. So if you haven't tried Sword and Shield in Monster Hunter Wilds, I hope that this video convinces you to give it a shot. And if you have already used the Sword and Shield in Wilds, let me know what you think about this weapon. With that being said, let me know which weapon I should cover next, and if you have been enjoying these videos, then please subscribe to the channel. My name is Dark Hero, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, happy hunting!